Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Henry DeVries. I am the Chief Encouragement Officer, the CEO here at Indie Books International. And thank you for attending our Zoominar on client attraction chain reaction. In Indie Books, we believe that a book is the #1 marketing tool for a consultant. Speaking about a book is the #1 sales strategy, business development strategy, new client acquisition strategy for a consultant. So if you're an expert, a thought leader, a business leader, then you need to think about a book as a marketing tool, opens a lot of doors, and speaking is how you gain more credibility, more impact, more influence, and even more clients. And more clients is a measure of that impact and influence and credibility. So those are all the things we're going to talk about today. Thanks for coming aboard. I'm going to start a little different. There's a topic I wanted to introduce, and this is audience participation. So Devin, if you could give us that Brady Bunch look of, or the Hollywood Squares, we also like to call it, the gallery view of everyone. So we'll have this, and that way it'll help me see hands. So the first question is, what to you is financial freedom? I hear this a lot when I'm talking to consultants, that the thing they want is financial freedom. And I don't really know what that means to any of you, but I'd like some volunteers. Just give me a hand. Dr. Pam, what does financial freedom mean to you?
It's changed over time, but what it means at this point for me is that anything that I need to take care of can be done easily and without stress, and that I have enough money to give away.
Thank you. That's excellent. Who else would like to define financial freedom, what it means to them? Dr. Teresa?
Yeah, Henry, for me, I think it's being able to sustain all of the opportunities that we have from just our living expenses. But I think it goes beyond that. And I really liked what, Dr. Pamela said. It's about giving back, but it's also having free time to do other community work and being able to, for me, travel, because I think that's an important part of life balance.
Sure. So you added some concepts there. One was free time and travel. Who else would like to talk about financial freedom? Elisa, good to see you, Elisa. So you're on mute. So unmute and give us some knowledge.
Thanks, Henry. For me, financial freedom is being able to dedicate myself to full-time public speaking. And as was mentioned, travel would be nice as well.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for sharing. If we talk to everybody, everybody would have a little different flavor of financial freedom. And I've asked this question in many workshops over the years. The best answer I ever had was, it would mean cash flow and time to enjoy life. That's it. The people I work with, they're not about amassing Bill Gates sums of money so they can, buy and sell whatever they want. It's about their work, but financial freedom ties into their work. We have to get the money right. That's a message I have there. It's not about getting the money. It's about getting the money part of the business right, because I call it sacred selfishness, or the big pot of soup. So if you want to share your soup with other people, you got to make sure you have a soup pot and ingredients in it. So if we don't get the money right, I think of, this is going to be sad for Devin and I always ask people, think of your favorite restaurant that's not there anymore. We had one that we loved, they loved us, we were regulars. They didn't survive the pandemic because they couldn't get the money right during the pandemic, and they're not around anymore. So my message is, if you don't get the money right, you won't be around. But money is just a form of appreciation. Are you with me? Money just is appreciation for your work, and people will fund it and do more. Now, I have good news. The dream of having financial freedom is alive and doing well if you learn how other people have done it. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this hour. And I have some authors here who will share, and we'll have different ideas. If you have a question, put it in the chat. We'd love to hear it. But first, I'm going to follow up with something on this financial freedom. We're still going to, oh goody, let's talk about money, as the Dowager Countess said in Downton Abbey. So this is just another audience participation part. Let's say you had some money and you were going to invest it. How much do you think a CD, certificate of deposit's paying now? Anybody? 1%. You get 1% on your money. Now, if you invested in a no-load mutual fund, an index fund tied to the S&P, do you know what that would pay over time? 5 to 10 years, what that traditionally pays interest. Anybody? Does anybody have any money on this call? I don't know. Okay, it pays 10.5%. 10.5%. Now, if you invested in California real estate over 5 to 10 years, you're going to get 15%. Now, there's something called a tax lien, a government tax lien. So when people can't pay their property taxes, the government slaps a lien. The government needs its money right away. So they sell these liens, and you can get 18% or more on your money with these. It's a little, you have to, it's an insider type thing that certain investors know. Okay, let's say you started loan sharking. I have some friends who were in South America, and people needed money to buy a pig, and they went to them, and it was, you would call it micro lending, but they needed, $25 to buy a pig, and when they sold the pig, they'd give them 50% on the money. And I said, well, basically you're loan sharking, call it micro, but you're a loan shark, and the pig is the collateral. You're making 50%. Okay, why do I bring this up? This is financial education. If you put away $167 a month, you would save $2,000 a year. And if you did that for 25 years, you would have $50,000. Now that's 0% interest. That's putting the money in a mattress or burying it in the backyard. Now you go, whoa, who'd be so stupid? Hey, but do you know people who don't have 50,000? I do. That CD at 1%, that would get you $57,000 after 25 years. The index fund would get you $213,000. The California real estate would get you $428,000. The tax liens would get you $689,000. Oh, and this is why the Sopranos went into loan sharking. It would get you $101 million. Okay. What's the point of all this? My research has found that there's something better. It gets a return of 400 to 2,000% return on your money. It's marketing with a book and a speech. It's creating a client attraction chain reaction. That's what we're here to talk about today. I have written testimonials and video testimonials from people who've said we've helped them make over $1 million doing this. That's a lot of credibility, a lot of impact. That's a lot of influence they've had. How did they do it? Well, let's talk about that. I've got 16 friends I want to introduce you to. And some of our people on the call will be talking about them. Devin, are we back to why don't we go back to highlight this speaker, highlighting the speaker who's talking. Okay, great. So that's the setup. Let's go into it. There's 16 different ways I have used to speak to attract high-paying clients. And the magic is in the mix. There's not just one you do many. I'm going to give you some insights into that. I'm going to have some of our authors share what they're finding with it. Let's go here, and I will share screen. And here we start. The number one way we have found, and I have a sad story.
Henry,
Yes.
we're not seeing the list.
You're not seeing the list. So let me stop share. Let me share. Now are you seeing the list?
Yes.
Hey, okay. Number one on the list, small scale seminars. I'll save the dreary story, but once due to a crooked tax advisor and CPA, I owed the government $75,000. What got me out of trouble was doing 2 small scale seminars a month, one in San Diego, one in Orange County. I would get 4 to 8 people in a room, and I would tell them how to solve their problems in marketing. And as a result of that, we got a string of clients. Now, Devin, I'd like you to just give a few minutes on the small scale seminar strategy and how our authors use this to attract high paying clients.
Yeah, so small scale seminars for us was a total game changer. What we found and what we're talking about when we mean small scale seminar is about, maybe 5 to 10 people, and they're information sessions. So they're usually no cost or very low cost. And the idea is to, demonstrate your expertise in a way that is attractive to clients. So being generous with your time and your information, kind of proving that you are the expert you say you are by being helpful, will then move people through to wanting to do follow-up steps with you. So I'll give you just a quick story of one of our authors who used this strategy. His name is Michael Haig. He is a Hollywood storytelling expert. He's the person that, Will Smith calls up when he wants advice on his next project. And he has done a lot in the area of, fiction storytelling and helping screenwriters tell, how to tell their stories. He has a formula. But he had come to us because he wrote a new book called Storytelling Made Easy, which was geared at business people and how they could use those same storytelling techniques in their presentations, their books, their marketing materials. But this was a totally new audience for Michael. So he had come to us and said, how do I get in front of these people? And we said, our number one recommendation would be to put on your own small scale seminar. So what's good about this is that, you're in charge of it. So you control the when, where, who you invite aspect of it. So what we did for Michael was we said, okay, who do we want and who do we think would benefit from this the most? And we identified marketing professionals. And we have a strategy that we've developed using LinkedIn as an outreach tool. And I don't have time to go into all the details, but if you want more information on that, we have a white paper that we can share with you. But basically, you identify who you want, you come up with a topic that speaks to their challenge, and gear the presentation around that. And for Michael, he had a few concerns about the strategy. So one was, if I give away my information for free, so if I give them my formula, they're not going to want to hire me. We said, I know it might sound kind of counterintuitive, but trust us that you're going to give enough helpful information in a broad sense, but the ones that are really the right fit clients for you are going to want to hire you for the specifics. So for Michael, we set out to do this event in Portland, and we had about, I think we had 19 people actually ended up coming to his event. And one of the things we always recommend you do at the end of a small scale seminar is have an easy next step for your audience. So for Michael, we recommended he offer a 30-minute no cost call, follow-up call. So they could run, any story by him or any question, and he'd be happy to help. And at the end of that first event, 18 of the 19 people had checked, yes, I want the follow-up call. And it turns out the 19th person in the room was actually his sister-in-law that had come to support him. So we actually count it as 100% success rate. And within a week of the event, he had already booked a client that covered the cost of the entire event plus some, and had 17 other prospects in his pipeline. So that's how powerful this type of event can be. We have used it ourselves, and we have taught a lot of our authors how to use it. So for our money, that is the #1 strategy that you can do. And I will turn it back over to Henry.
Thanks, Devin. We didn't invent this. This is R&D, rob and duplicate. We studied what the top consultants were doing, and this strategy was the #1 strategy. My frustration through the years is I sound like I'm shouting from the wilderness to do this, and people are going like, yeah, that's interesting. We might do that. This is like what you need to embrace. If you really want to have impact and influence, you need to do this on a consistent basis. This is the magic ticket. It's not the only thing you do, but what makes it magic is no one else has to agree that you can be a speaker or that you can be on their stage. You create the stage, and you don't need big numbers to do this. The power of it is it can be interactive with the 4 to 8, 5 to 10 people. I had one CEO who went to be a consultant, and he had 0 prospects in his pipeline. And we did one of these first month, and 4 people attended, and they were all prospective clients for him. And afterwards he said, I'm very disappointed. I said, what are you disappointed in? He goes, well, I thought we'd draw 20 to 40 people. And I said, you now have 4 qualified prospects in your pipeline that you didn't have last month. It's not about speaking to the multitudes. It's about connecting to the handful. Okay, let's move on. Private invitation only summits that you host, I think 12 to 24 in attendance. This is a little bigger. We've done these paid. We've done these for no cost. We've traveled the country doing these. I remember my first one was not a success in New York City. I drew 6 people. We always call the first visit to a city with a summit the missionary tour. Later, we had to have 2 summits. We sold out the room 2 days in a row, 25 people in each. That was just a couple of years later. So you build a following, and you get the people who attend, and they will testify for you that this is a good event and their friends should come, and it grows. So this is a variation of that strategy. I'm Now that the pandemic is winding down, I don't think it's ever going to be over. Now that it's winding down, I think this is an opportunity to go out there. Public seminars that you or others promote and charge admission to attend. So if somebody else is doing it, you get invited. I just did that in Las Vegas. I was paid to be a part of it. The payment structure was they gave me travel plus if anybody attended, I received money for that. And we all agreed that we would promote this to our people. And I know, Teresa, I'll pick on you here a little right now because you attended. That was the Game Changers event in Las Vegas. Just give me a debrief real quick. You'll speak again, but just give me a quick debrief on that. How did it go for you?
Absolutely amazing. The connections, working with you, the introductions, listening to the speakers just really set me to remind me to do certain things and create some new ideas.
I think the gold was Sunday morning when we got a private meeting with somebody who could be a big affiliate partner for you. Yep. Or a subcontractor, or you subcontract. Right. A lot could happen from there.
Well, and it really was because of who you are and helping us come together and inviting us and bringing us in that room and then making that personal connection. And we had an amazing chat with him and you and created some great leverage.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay. In-house paid workshops. So if you're a reader of Judy Carter and The Message of You, best book I've read on this subject, on how to do the in-house paid workshops, how to be the opening and closing person at an association. We'll talk to Nona in a minute about that. But you have a message that would resonate with a corporate audience. They'll pay you $5,000 to $10,000 to deliver that. Two buddies of mine in publishing wrote a little book called Go for No. They admit it was not a great work of literary genius. It was a fable, a story about a struggling salesperson who gets bonked on the head and wakes up 10 years later, and he's the most successful salesperson that anyone knows. It's a Rip Van Winkle story because he doesn't know what, actually he was functioning for the 10 years. He wasn't in a coma because he became this great salesperson. So the story is he has to figure out how he did it. How he did it was adopting a philosophy where he would just set a quota each day on how many no's he was going to get from prospects. And this funny thing happened. The more no's he got, some people said, well, actually, it sounds like how I got a date to the high school prom. I just went for no's. And, I was going to start at April Anderson and end with Xocho Zamora. Those are real names from my high school. But, I got a few no's and then I got a great yes. So it's the same concept here. Okay. That little book sold 400,000 copies. They sold it for $12 a copy. And, maybe made $7, $8 a book, but they gave $5,000 to $10,000 presentations to corporations all around America where the VP of sales wanted them to pump up the sales force. They had that message. You might go, oh, that's kind of a simple message, Henry. I think I've heard it before. Yeah. What's the little simple message you can have that'll get you 5 to 10? And then like some of our authors, we start at 5 to 10, then they go to 7,500 to 15,000, all the way up to 10 to 20. After that, you have to become a celebrity. You have to market different. You have to spend things different. That's a different ball game. But that 5 to 10, 10 to 20 game you can be in. So Nona, why don't you talk about that? Local and national association meetings, keynoting, being a panelist, a speaker. How do people go after that, Nona?
Yeah, there's an executive association list you can actually purchase, which I work very, very much weekly. But yeah, going to association meetings, like you said, local and national is a great way to get your foot in the door for bigger opportunities. So one of my clients, I got him into the Asphalt and Pavement Association of Indiana. I mean, there is an association for everything. There's probably like a nose picker minor workers association. So like if you get into an association, you know, conference planners plus meeting planners, executives, corporations, they all go to these meetings and attend or at least listen to them virtually and in person. And so there's just such a high percentage of spinoff. So literally, probably, I tell everybody, like 90% of our sales that we end up doing for our clients, they're probably from associations. Because I mean, they have to have this annual meeting or a quarterly meeting, and they have a budget set for these, for the speakers, consultants that they bring in. So yeah, there's a lot of spinoff work associated with getting your foot in the door for associations.
I've hired Nona to help us. Nona has helped some of our clients. I'll just give you just a little taste, because some of it just has to do with clarity. If you're going to work with Nona, you have to be clear on who you speak to and what you speak about. So here's the little Mad Lib. I'll give mine. I speak to groups of marketing agencies who want to do better with their business development and get more high-paying clients. If you'd be open to a conversation about whether a program like this would be valuable to your members or to your team, that would be great. That would be appreciated. So here's, if you're taking notes, I speak to groups of blank, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. And you have to pick a niche, a narrow focus. I picked marketing agencies, really marketing consultants, because I studied indie books, and of the 150 books we've done, the biggest group was these people, and we like working with them, and they're great. And I was one. I thought, like, okay, well, this makes sense. But what do they want? I have found in my research, and how do you do research? You interview the targets and ask them, what do you want? And listen. Every small scale seminar you do is a research study. Every summit is a research study. Every informal conversation with a member of the target audience, just ask the question, what do they really want? I found they wanted their business development to improve, and what they want are more high-paying clients. High-paying clients means 5 figures and above. And then that's the 3 blanks. I speak to blanks who want blank and blank. Okay. Thanks, Nona. Thanks for being with us today. Nona, you should put your contact information in the chat, please. Okay. Where else? Radio and television shows. We've hired publicists to get our authors on radio and television shows. I've paid to be on radio and television shows. There's something I think now that's better, and we'll talk about that. Podcasts. Oh, podcasts, yeah. A while back I checked and there were over 1 million on Apple, and they're multiplying like rabbits. So you might start by saying, well, which ones are the biggest and the best, and I'll start there. No, you're not ready for that yet. Start with any podcast you can get on that talks to that first group. So I was on average Joe ones, and I'm doing a couple of podcasts a month. And then I get invited by the #1 marketing consultant agency podcast, according to Adweek magazine. And it's called Lead Balloon. So I have to tell a story on there about how everything was going so well, and then everything went wrong, and what I did after that. That's what makes the show so interesting and so highly rated, is because you have to be willing to talk about your worst moment in marketing. And I won't tell you what it is, but it made a great show and got a lot of positive feedback from it. So what is it in your world? Podcasts are the gift that keep giving because they're up there. If you're on radio or TV, it vanishes. A podcast stays up. People get interested in that podcast. They go to previous episodes. If your episode grabs them, they'll hear about you. I get clients from podcasts. So can you. CEO peer groups. These are like Vistage, which is formerly Tech, Inner Circle Renaissance. I'm a curated, as they call it, Vistage speaker. So I'm in the Vistage Speakers Bureau. I'm speaking for Vistage so far 7 times this year. You know, the honorarium is more honor than rarium. I get my travel expenses, a per diem, and $500. And people go, oh, I can't make it on this. Our most successful authors will speak to Vistage 50 to 100 times a year, and they generate in-house corporate training as a result. And they charge 5 to 10 to 20 for that. And that's where they're making their real money. It's a 1-2 step. For me, I don't offer so much corporate training as I put on my own book summit. So I'm going to, where am I going? I'm going to Louisville. I'm probably going to do my summit in Indianapolis. It's less than 2 hours away. It's a much bigger market. I'm doing Memphis because they have me speaking in Memphis. So you can look for these things. For me, it's like Vistage underwrites it. But if you're going after C-level executives, there's nobody in the world that congregates them like Vistage does and pays speakers. Vistage knows it could get the speakers for free. And as a matter of fact, they've been ratcheting down how much they give us on expenses and other things to save money. I get it. But at least you have the benefit of saying you're a paid speaker when you go. It's what happens as a result. And Vistage is trial by fire. It's a tough audience. If you want to know more, I have written monographs on how to speak at Vistage and can share. Well, I want to pick on Patrick for a second. Patrick, tell us how you're getting booked to speak. Tell us about the title of your upcoming book and how you're getting booked to speak.
Thank you, Henry. The title of my book, I'll get my grammar right here. Ironically, the title of my book is called Across the Lens: How Your Zoom Presence Can Make or Break Your Success. And a couple things that I've been doing, 2 things right off the bat. Number one is I am doing small scale webinars. These are public webinars. And so far, actually, I have one coming up on Friday, April 1st. And I'm not fooling around. The other way that I've recently actually booked a speaking gig is through a referral. And very excited about that. I'll be going out to, I think, your neck of the woods, Henry, early August, out to Coronado Island, and speaking on what I've currently titled, or working titled, called the Gift of Presence. Excellent,
thanks. Yeah, that was funny, that LIMRA event. I've been a member, I know about it. I would have loved to be there with you, but I'm being paid to give 5 workshops to business owners in Memphis that week. So we'll, our planes will wave to each other as we cross the continent there. Right. Yeah, thanks for that. The other thing was, he said something really important: referral. I've studied this for 20 years, and I've always been looking for what is the secret to get booked at these association meetings and, you know, working with people like Nona and what did they do and all this. But I found the number one way we get booked is by referrals. So it's why we created the Indie Family and Friends group, the 150 indie authors, and have ways for them to network and meet. It was an indie author who reached out to Patrick and hooked him up. Indie authors have hooked me up with my biggest keynotes. It wasn't by marketing to strangers on the internet. The number one way you get booked for money is somebody heard you speak and they want you to speak to their group. Number two, they asked their close associates and somebody said, I heard that person speak, they would be great. The person who referred Patrick heard him speak through our webinars that we've put on and have had Patrick speak at. So you can't recommend somebody to speak that you haven't heard speak. So you need to speak more if you want to speak more. I know that sounds like this circular logic, and the Excel spreadsheet would, throw out that algorithm right there. That doesn't, no, but that's what the truth is.
Henry, can I add one
Please.
piece to that?
Please.
So, and as it turns out, my small scale webinar last week or the week before, the week before, I reached out to each of the participants, and one of them has already, or actually replied today. I received it today, and she would like me to speak to her human resources group.
As Mr. Burns says on The Simpsons, excellent.
So that was exactly the formula that you were talking about regarding being able to do the small scale webinar. It's still an unpaid, it's still going to be a free webinar, but this is going to go to even a wider audience now. So it's, what is it? The private small scale webinar.
Yeah.
Would be the in between the small scale and the private invitation only, right?
Yeah. And I've done these live. I've charged. Live, when I go in for somebody wants a, what do you call it? A one-on-one webinar. I invite somebody for, come to this, session, do all this. And he said, yeah, I got a better idea. Could you and Devin fly to New York City on my dime and charge me to just give it to me and my assistant for one day? We paused 3 seconds for dignity. We agreed. We got $5,000 plus travel, and they put us up in it was near Park Avenue and 57th, this luxury hotel. We were living large. So that can happen. Doesn't have to mean you're in a room of people. But then I've also come back and charged people $1,200 for 2 hours. Now, I'm an author. I'm a writer. If I'm ahead of you, I'm one toe ahead of you. I'm not, Tim Gard, Hall of Fame speaker, or I have a lot of friends who are Hall of Fame speakers. And I feel like they're mascots sometimes, and they're giving me these tips and tricks on what to do. And then I call them and say, hey, I did what you said and it worked. Like I'm surprised or something. I don't know how that works. Okay, let's keep going down the list. Here's how I got $1 million account when I was running my advertising and PR agency. I taught a college adult class, an extended studies class, extension programs that you call them. One of my pupils was the newly minted PR director for a $5 billion organization. And she said, oh, we're going to change agencies. Would you like to come in and talk to us to see if your agency would be in the running? Pause 3 seconds for dignity. 1, 2, 3. I had the meeting with Dory. She talked for an hour about the organization. After 1 hour, I thanked her, and I had no clue who they were or what they did. I had to go and do research, but she said the firm that they had was Manning, Selvage, and Lee. Now, that is one of the biggest public relations firms in the country, and I knew they don't touch accounts unless they're $1 million. So that inspired me, and we landed the account. I had guest speakers. I would invite people to be my guest speaker and I would pay them $25 honorarium, more honor than rarium. Jeremy came, spoke at my class. One of the students was the new marketing director at a large pharmaceutical company. Jeremy was a digital marketing agency, and it turned into one of his biggest accounts, $1 million account for him, just guest lecturing an adult class. Don't go to the undergraduates. They don't have a job yet, or even the MBA students. Don't talk to them. An executive MBA class, excellent. They are being sent by their companies who are spending like $50,000 to have them get an MBA or more, 50 to 100 now, 50 to 100 depending on the school. So there's some people with juice there. Also, the adult classes where companies send people, well, one, they're their best and brightest people, and people want them to bring the knowledge back. When Devin worked in the floral industry, they were very excited that she was going back to college to get advice in the floral business because they want you to bring that knowledge back into the company. Well, those are great people to network and speak to. I've interviewed people for my books and financial planners that say, I'm not a salesperson, I just educate people. But here's the magic of this. Here's how you get more impact and influence. People experience you. They experience you in the classroom, on the Zoominar, on the webinar, in some form. They don't experience you by reading you. Now, I'm a writer. This is sad for me too. They experience you talking about the book, and then they can say, oh, I think we could work with her. I think adding him would be good. You know, so that's how that starts, the magic of this for business development. Another thing, let me scroll this down. Okay, public fundraiser workshops. This is something I've done where I'll go to a group and say, I'd like to make a donation to your chapter. And they go, a donation? What's that? What do you mean? I said, well, I'm a professional speaker and author. I'm speaking more now to about this important message that's in my book. Fill in the name of your book here. And you don't have to have any risk in this. I'm going to take on all the risk, but I'm going to put on a workshop. You don't have to pay me my $5,000 to $10,000 speaking fee or travel. I'm going to put on the workshop. You can help find the venue, or I'll find the venue. And we'll charge $200 for the workshop, or we could also add a early bird registration rate of $99. And I just want to be sure that you spread the word, because you're going to get 50% of the gate. You get 50% of the money. And they'll go, no risk? We go, no risk. Have you done this for somebody? Here's testimonials. What's the topic? So I have killer testimonials on this, where one chapter said it was the most successful event they'd ever put on, and it was the #1 money raiser for them. You know, I'm raising like $1,500 for these groups. I mean, that's not what I'm making my career on, but I'll pick up a minimum of $10,000 worth of business when I do this. People who want to hire me. You don't want to speak where people gather a whole bunch of people and they put you on the stage, because those people did not come to hear you. The small scale seminar, they came for the topic. This fundraiser, they came for the topic. You get an audience that's intensely interested in you. That 400 to 2,000% comes from people wanting to take some next step with you as a consultant, as a trainer, as a paid speaker. These are all different ways of solving their problem, and they all have a cost associated with them, an investment. And if they think you can help get them what they want, which is usually to fix their people in corporate, dirty little secret. Most people who book us is because they think their people are broken. So if you can do that, if you can be a change agent, you will make money doing this. Okay. Chamber of Commerce events. I've done these. I'm not high on them. Devin rolls her eyes. You know, she knows what I think about Chamber of Commerce events. The problem is it's a mixed bag. And they didn't come for you. Now, if it's a chamber workshop, I'm more interested in it. If it's a fundraiser for the chamber and people decide, but if they put you in front of the main chamber group, they're just there to network, and the wedding planner wants to meet with the hotel, who wants to meet with the bakery, and they're going to pass leads around and things like that. It's a mixed bag. We don't call it, it's not a target rich environment. That's borrowed from what, Top Gun, Patrick? That's where I got that from. I also got it from a client who was a pilot in Vietnam. So he liked to talk about target-rich environments. You want to speak to target-rich environments, but maybe for you, the chamber works. So showcase speeches. Patrick, Nona, Teresa are all here because I invited them to speak. It's a showcase for them. I'm recording this. It'll be the gift that keeps giving for them, and they'll find it. Teresa, did we ever get you to talk about what you really want to talk about? The stage is yours.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, I just want to say my up and coming second book that the group at Indy will be publishing is called Exposing the E-Learning Mystery: Secrets to Digitizing Your Business with Confidence. And, Henry, like you, we're about growing other people's businesses through adding digital products to their scalability model. And, here's what we found over the years with your process of these small scale seminars and a variety of it. What we're sharing with people is do these small scale seminars and record them. Once you record them, then you go to rev.com and have it transcribed and take that information and create your e-learning course. It goes along with your book. It goes along with your marketing plan. And it's a really easy way to demystify how hard it is to create an e-learning class. And the other thing is what I've learned from you is be very, and Nona and Patrick, we've all kind of really narrowed exactly what we talk about. And it's that signature speak or that signature talk that we've been doing with all of the different opportunities you teach us. And that's where we're really finding people can really create some great videos to teach people other things. So it's kind of that extension of your book for an e-learning course.
Thank you, Teresa. So I'm recording this. I mean, Teresa knows. It's like, I hope we're not spoiling the magic trick for you. I did a podcast this month. I'm doing this Zoominar. We're transcribing them. I'm working with Teresa on my e-learning course. So I'm doing the first steps that I have to do to work with her to have the course and develop the content. But then that's something that's for sale on the internet. Yes, it's a revenue stream, and Teresa teaches that. We also know it is a gift that keeps giving. It's out there. So thank you, Teresa, and we look forward to that next book. Hi, everybody. We're getting reactions to the Client Attraction Chain Reaction Zoominar. So any volunteers, Teresa, I'll volunteer you, voluntold. We'll start with you and then go to Patrick and then Nona, and then see if anybody else wants to testify. Take it away.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the fundraiser. I am traveling for vacation actually on one, and for another business event in New York and Tennessee. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm reaching out the fundraiser method to get on stage.
Great. Patrick.
I think it was, again, just the reminder on clarity, who you speak to and what you speak about.
Thanks. Nona, what did you get out of today?
I've been toying with the idea of having my own private seminar, or, you know, to feature my clients and things. And so, I mean, this just reminds me that I really need to do that. I need to quit putting it off. So thank you for that. And then the things that you said about, of course, associations, I've already been working that. So I agree with you on that. Chamber of Commerce events. I have sold to many Chamber of Commerce events, and there's like nonprofit and fundraising and stuff like that, because they need, you know, they need a keynote speaker, and then they also need entertainers, and I have entertainers as well. So yeah, don't count those out. They're worth reaching out to as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else want to speak? Elisa.
Thank you, Henry. This has been a fantabulous workshop. As a newbie speaker, I'm excited to get on any stage. But what you pointed out is that you want it to be a target-rich environment, and that's huge for not wasting your time. So that was a fantastic takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Pam. Oh, and you're on mute, Dr. Pam.
Thank you, Henry. I really, I thought the small scale events were important for me, but I also think that reaching out to populations that might want me to speak to their people was critically important. And you mentioned financial planners. I have financial planners for myself personally, so I think it's time for me to get busy.
Yes. So your book is about caregiving and caregivers. So that would be important. And also, as Nona said, don't rule out the chambers or the service groups for you, because your people are there. I just did, I see Jeffrey has a hand raised. Jeffrey, did you want to speak? And you're on mute right now if you do.
No, Henry, not today.
Okay, thanks. Oh, it's not your hand. It's my cursor was in front of you. I apologize. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for attending. Thanks for that feedback. It's always important. Either Wheaties, Menudo, or feedback, Breakfast of Champions. So you all get to choose. So thanks for coming today. And I wish you the best with creating your client attraction chain reaction.